It's actually a little harder to work with because that foil sometimes, particularly if you mess with it a lot, wants to separate.
Would you want to use that as an underwrap?
Only use what?
The metallic.
Yeah, yep, is either an underwrap and or, you know, if you want to make tags, yeah, for accent or something like that. So I've got my underwrap here. I'm burnishing out all those tiny little gaps you have the tendency to get with metallic thread, cleaning up the edges. Now, in this case, I've got a single foot guide, so I only need one piece of tape. If it was a double foot guide, I'd put one on both sides. I want to put this thing on my wrap and just tape it down into place like so.
Now, how much of the gold do you have forward of the guide? None, it looks like.
Yeah, okay, this is kind of complicated. If you look at the, really good question though. If you look at the guide, the center of this guide here stays flat all the way till about here.
Right.
The edge of the guide actually is starting to move up about here. So it's almost 1/8 of an inch from here to here. Maybe not quite. So if I wrap up this ramp here, we'll call it a ramp, if I wrap up this frame, then when I go to put epoxy on this, what will happen is these will end up threadbare. They won't have finish. They'll have finish on them, like soaked in, but you'll be able to see the what's the word I'm looking for? The texture of the thread as it wraps up, and it'll be basically a flaw in your finish. So what I'm doing here is I've taped the guide far enough forward that when I wrap over the top of it, I'm only going to wrap on flat guide. Does that make sense?
And still see some of the gold.
And there'll still be some of the gold showing through. Yep, by all means. Everybody see what I'm talking about? You want to take a
So
closer
you're going
look?
to take the wrap up to the tape.
No, I'm going to take the tape off as soon as I get some thread over the top of it.
But how far up are you going to go on it?
You're going to see in just a minute.
Okay, and that's what you were just talking about where it goes flat.
Yep. Can you see what I'm talking about on the guide? It starts to ramp up.
Yes.
So it's going up right here.
You don't
I
want
don't want to ramp. I don't want to wrap thread up that at all.
Yeah.
I want to stay flat.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So now I've got my overwrap, and what I want to do is just leave a little bit of gold showing.
So is it preference on how far ahead of the foot you start?
How far ahead of the foot I start?
You know what I mean? Is there a guideline as far as where to start your underwrap with respect to your?
Nope.
Your
Just
guide?
how you like it. How do you like the way it looks?
Yeah.
In this particular case, you've got it made because in my rod layout, my notes, I've got lengths for my wraps. You can use that if you like, but you certainly are not required to. You know, I have to do it that way. Go ahead, Dave.
Q likes a lot of pink, Sean. So.
This is going to be bad. I can see this thing on YouTube.
I just got an account, by the way. I need to plus.
Actually, this is coming out. This is beautiful.
I'm gonna
Vantage
have to,
point is perfect.
confiscate all cell phones, all video recorders. Okay, so all I'm doing here now, this will be interesting to see. All you guys who have had a hard time wrapping up guide feet, look at this.
Oh my God, Jesus! Now, Q, when you're wrapping like that, are you watching the threads, or are you keeping your eye on the angle of the feed?
Yes.
Both. Both.
Both. Yeah. So everything else is just exactly what we've already talked about.
Now these the pull line and where you're doing this, is it okay to do it anywhere? Should you do it on the bottom? Should you do it?
It's okay to do it anywhere. The only place where it would be a big pain in the ass is if you try to do it right here
Right.
or right here, because there's space there. So if you pull a tag into that, everything's going to go loose on it. It's just not tight there. So I generally try to put my pull loops on the back side. This way you have the most margin of error. If it turns out you end up kind of over here, that's fine. If it turns out you end up kind of over here, that's fine.
So the pull loop you
don't
put
end
on the
up there,
back side.
there, or on top of the guide.
It didn't. I mean, when you put it in there, it didn't look like it was on the back side, was it?
It was probably somewhere in that neighborhood, but maybe not
Okay.
exactly. I'm not overly critical about it. And all I'm doing here is cleaning up any little gaps I've got towards the beginning of the wrap. or the end of the raft. Here.
How do you make sure that your guides are lined up with each other?
That's a really good question. Wrap all the guides in place with moderate thread tension. By the way, you wanted to feel this, Rob.
Hi, Mom. I see, yeah.
Then once everything is all wrapped in place, what I try to do, wrap your double foot, your BSVLG in place, then take the rod out of the machine or out of your cardboard box or whatever have you, and look down the rod and make sure that your reel seat is aligned with your first guide. So at least you're starting right.
Mm-hmm.
After that point, I just try to visually align the rest of the guides along with the first guide. And when you're all done with the thing and take it out of the machine, you look down it, you'll go, oh man, did I screw this up? Then just the guides will move under the thread.
They
so you
will.
can just press them into place.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I just sight down it and move this one a little bit, sight down, oh, I moved it too
They'll
much,
move a
and
little
press
bit.
it back a little bit. Yeah, you're not going to be able to move it from, you know, this quarter of the rod to this quarter of the rod.
Right.
But you'll be able to move it, you know, if you did your best to line them up by eye, when you're done, you'll be able to press them and slide them back and forth into the position you want.
Should your tip top go on first or last?
Yeah, you said tip top was on first.
Generally, I put it on last, but if you want to put it on first, that'll help you to give it something to line up to.
Right.
But either way, I don't think it's critical one way or the other.
All right.
So that's how you want to wrap over the top of the guide foot. And those of you who've tried to wrap before, isn't that a beautiful thing? How it goes straight up that ramp, real
Yeah.
nice and smooth.
No, I can appreciate
really
that.
Makes that a lot easier.